haul, so I couldn't do much talking. All I ended up doing too was, what did I do? I went to dinner. I went to Texas Roadhouse. Oh, the steak was seasoned so well. Didn't even need A1 sauce. And I'm a person who, if you season my steak well, I don't need A1 sauce at all. And I'd actually prefer not to use it, but so many places don't season them well. Texas Roadhouse, however, did season that ribeye very well. Didn't need it at all. But anywho, I went there and then I stopped by at home. Didn't see too much. Oh, I tell you what, I saw something for my granddaughter's room. So I ended up picking up a little painting. It just says, "I am smart." Has a little girl reading a book, little brown girl. And then I got some napkins. Napkins for what, really? I don't even know, but I just love that stores are being much more inclusive in the merchandise that they get. That was not always the case, and it certainly wasn't the case when my daughter was a little girl. So love, 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 but I'll be putting that in her room somewhere. Anywho, that's about it. I wanted to talk to you guys, but I had a couple of phone calls, and some things you just have to balance out. That being the case, I might be starting a vlog right here. So let me say hello and welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of time with me. I absolutely do not take it for granted. You know what? On that note, let me just say this. I have had some people with very kind comments, congratulations on yet another good vlog and giving me feedback with regard to my editing. And I do work on that. And that feels good. And also people are just saying, wow, I'm surprised your channel isn't growing faster and all of that. But you know what? To that I say, and this is the truth, I feel like right now where I am, I'm actually living my prayer. I have not always been the person that I am now. Like, I've not always been able to open up and talk and share and things like that. And so for me to do that now, this is huge for me. This is a big step. I think if more is to come, then it'll come when it's time to come. But in the meantime, there's still a lot I need to learn. Like, I am learning more about editing and angles and all of those things. And so, yeah, I'm not mad at the progress I have now. So when that time comes for my YouTube success to happen, I'll be prepared. I'll know what to do with it. And I'll be delivering content that is of value. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. I think even now, I am saying things that are helpful. Loved the letter. Loved being able to talk to her. Will I do that every video? Maybe not. But I'll do that more. I certainly will. I mean, if people are coming to me and trusting me and valuing what I have to say, then certainly I want to help. That's what this is all about. So, yeah, I'm not mad about that. I'm feeling good about the progress that I have. Feeling good. I love that when I put out a video, I pretty much know the people who are going to respond. I love it when new people respond to, I'm really in this stage and phase of just, building a community and all of that, which is exactly why I started the channel. I know I'm not the only person out here who's divorced. I know I'm not the only person out here who watches vlogs at this age and wants to see, more mature vloggers. I've said before, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the young girls. I think they're out there doing a fabulous job. But sometimes you want to see more people like yourself, 40 and up club, people who have been through some things, know some things. And even we have value to share. Of course, we're giving advice. I asked for the aunties to tune in and help me out on the last one, offering more advice. But yeah, so anyway, I was out and about and talking on the phone and all of that. And, one of my friends was just talking about what she wants to do in life and where she also thought she'd be. The way it all came about, actually, she was commenting on the video that I had. And she was just like, what you said to the 30-some-odd-year-old also applies to me. And she's in her upper 40s. And she was like, I know at this stage of life I should have more. And she was lamenting on how she thought she'd be married at this phase of the game. And she thought she'd have more money and just, more things secured for herself. So we were talking about it. And then we were also just even talking about finances. Finances is a hard thing for a lot of us to master because who's been our examples? You know, a lot of us have not had parents who can or have built generational wealth. So we're on our own with that. We have to figure out some of our own tips. Thankfully, there are YouTubes. Thankfully, there are articles, online things that you can find. Lots and lots of resources that are out there now that haven't always been there. So those things help. And then there's just plain old talk about it. What works for someone or what doesn't work. And I was just telling her, you know, there are a lot of ways in which I elect to save money. Like, okay, for example, I just went out to dinner, went to Texas Roadhouse, right? So I ate on one of my gift cards. You know, around Christmas time, all the restaurants want you to buy one of their gift cards. And so they'll incentivize it even more by saying, oh, you can get $50 worth of food and it'll just cost you $35 or it'll cost you $40. Or we'll also throw in a couple of gift cards for the buyer and things like that. So there are all kinds of deals. Well, I eat those up. I do buy them for other people, but I also buy them for myself. And I use them throughout the year that way. I mean, why wouldn't I? Yeah, it's $10, $15 less, but it's $10 or $15 here at Texas Roadhouse, $10 or $15 here at Five Guys, $10 or $15 at Red Lobster, and all of that. That goes into my pocket. Well, if I count that $10, that $10, well, there's 30. That's almost a full tank of gas. That's certainly some stuff that it can buy me. You know, my mind works in that fashion. And so even when I go to Sam's Club and I'm buying gift cards, where I buy gift cards, yeah, it's only saving $2 or $3, but that's $2 or $3 that goes back into my pocket. Same thing goes for Walmart. But one of the bigger things in which I've saved is, you know, fortunately, I'm not a person who's really car crazy. I like a decent car as much as the next person, I guess, but I've never been that, ooh, I gotta get this, oh, I'm gonna kill him with that, and I can't wait for the whatevers to come out, you know. And there's nothing wrong with women who have that or men who have that, but it's just never been my thing. And so what was interesting, we were talking about saving money and things like that, and she had a valid point. She was like, yeah, but I'm just not willing to live a life less than. Life is short, so yeah, I'm going for the gusto. I'm getting all I can and things like that. Well, the only problem I see with that is it's a very much a live for today kind of attitude, right? So you have all of this today, but you're not prepared for the tomorrows. And who knows how long we'll live. You know, if you're 40-something, you might live to be 80-something. You're only, I mean, they call it a midlife crisis for a reason. You're only midway through life. You got a whole lot more living to do. And it gets more expensive because down the road, you're going to end up having what, medications, medical bills, things like that, that may or may not crop up, but most likely will crop up, right? But anyway, you need to save up and prepare for that. So having a devil-may-care and spend it today kind of attitude can cost you much more down the road. You know what I mean? And so getting back to the car, I was telling her that one of the things I've done that has been most helpful is pay myself. To me, if you're not paying yourself, you're really just playing yourself. So I think two of the biggest expenses people have in life are shelter and vehicles, right? And so that being the case, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room that you can have with shelter. You know, the percentage rates are going to be what the percentage rates are. The housing market's going to be what it is, or rental is going to be, apartment markets, all of that. Whatever it is, that's pretty much set in stone. Then you have your car. Well, I live in a city where we pretty much need a car. There's not easy access to trains and buses and all of that to go into many various places. So we very much need a car here. And what I do, instead of just being so grateful when I no longer have a car payment, I keep a car payment. I pay myself. You know, even if you can only, if I have a $200 car payment, for example, not likely, but if I've had a $200 car payment, once I've paid my car off, that's $200 that I had not been living on. So that same $200 that I had gotten used to not having, I just keep on getting used to not having it. And so I'm now able to pay myself that $200 because what I know to be true is even though this car may be paid off now, I'm going to need another one eventually. You know, cars just don't last forever. And so by paying myself, I've given myself a nice nest egg that I don't feel because I didn't have it before when I was making car payments. So the fact that I just kept making those car payments only to myself or to an account now, the fact that I kept doing that, I still don't feel it. Now, that doesn't mean that that's a thing that's going to work for other people. There are all kinds of investment people that would say, that's crazy. You could be investing that money in this or you could do it in that. But I mean, this is what works for me. And so then when it's time for me to purchase a new car, which I pretty much always have to do every so number of years, I have either enough money to buy the car outright or I have a hefty down payment to put on the car. And then two, we were just talking about the difference between what you can pay for and what you can afford. Like just being honest in terms of going to restaurants and the out to eats and all that stuff. Like I legit could go out to eat every day. I could pay for that every day, certainly every other day. What? McDonald's, you know, Texas Roadhouse, Olive Garden, you know, you name it. I could afford technically to pay for all of those restaurants. At the end of my pay period though, my money's going to be lean, right? So that means I can afford to pay for it. But if my money is lean, I couldn't really afford it. You know, because in this life to me, you should build up a savings. You should build up a nest egg. You should be comfortable. And I personally enjoy watching my money grow. But at the same time, I don't feel like I'm shortchanging myself out of anything in life. I'm still able to take trips. I'm still able to go to restaurants when I want. I just go at a discounted rate. Like, what? Yeah. I eat off of a gift card or I do whatever. And I've gone places and some of my friends have been like, you should go, you know, she gonna pull out a gift card now. Yeah, she good for a gift. She sure is. Yes, she is. And I'll tell you something else. I have a newer vehicle. It's newer to me. I bought it used. But I have a newer vehicle than what I was driving. But for, I'd say about a good year, I was driving an old, rusty, dusty truck. Let me tell you, my ex and I had split up, and he had purchased himself a cute little old convertible or whatever. Something about that car, I will admit, always gave me bad vibes. Like as soon as I looked at it, I thought, yeah, the energy on that car was wrong. But anyway, not this story. So he had that car, and I was driving my little silver SUV. Came a point where it broke down, as cars do, and it was just cost prohibitive to fix it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna need, at this point we were separated, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna need that pickup truck back. I'm gonna need you to run that. It had been a deal where it made more sense for me to purchase it than him at that time until he got to a place where he could better afford things like that. And, you know, it was just a matter of, hey, I need the truck back. He was like, sure, no problem. I've got this anyway. Do you? Chef's kiss, whatever. And so here I come driving this old raggedy pickup truck. It's got some dust on it, dents and dings, you know, all the things that old pickup trucks tend to have. And so I'd come driving, bouncing my truck in to work, you know, putting the gears in. We'd go to brunch and all this stuff, and my friends would be like, girl, really with the truck? You're dressed all cute and ready for brunch, and you come rolling up in this old dusty, rusty. Yeah, when are you going to get a new car? I don't know. When this one breaks down, like I'm very much a till the wheels fall off kind of girl when it comes to cars. They're just, I don't know, they're just not that important to me. So I'd come bouncing up, rolling into a parking spot, crank, crank, you know a vehicle's old when you still got the gear shift right there in the steering wheel. It ain't even down here. It was crank, crank, put that sucker in reverse, back it up, get into my spot, and keep right on going, you know, pump, pump, smooth out my little nice brunch outfit, head on in, and wouldn't feel any less about it. So, it's just, I don't know, it just depends on the things that you prioritize, I guess. And so people have asked me about budgeting and finances and, you know, on the school teacher salary, you look like you're doing a lot, girl. Look like you're doing a lot, sis. But, first of all, I've been in education long enough that I should make $50 about what I make. had enough education that, I'm doing okay. But the biggest thing is that I genuinely budget. I love to save money. I love to see my money grow. When I tell you I have been mad busy, it's true. And not even in a good, I can see something from it kind of busy, just a chasing my tail kind of busy, my least favorite kind. Which is why I'm catching up on a bunch of my housework. Took mom to the doctor Monday. Tuesday, I had my own doctor's appointment. And here we are today. I am really just catching up. And it's during the school year when I book all these appointments and things, it's cool. Because I'm going to be off. I'm going to be whatever. But when it comes down to the nitty gritty and time to actually do the things that I'm supposed to do, I never feel like it. It takes longer than I thought, and it keeps me so darn busy. But now, I'm trying to tend to my neglected house. I've done laundry and putting away dishes. Not dishes that I washed in the dishwasher. I'm still pretty old school. I prefer to wash my dishes by hand. I know, call me crazy. I run the dishwasher every so often just to make sure that I'm maintaining it and all the lines are working well, but yeah, I just prefer, and it's just me, so it's not a whole heck of a lot of dishes. In one of my emails, it was so strange, I did for those who might not know, I did a little vlog about how I went to Jamaica solo and how I absolutely loved it, really did. And someone was like, what's tea, basically, were you lonely? And the only time in my life that I've actually been lonely. Let me pull up my bar stool. I needed to adjust the camera so I could sit and talk. You know what's interesting with regard to my trip to Jamaica? I've been asked several times if I felt lonely when I went, and the answer honestly is a resounding no. I felt like that came across clearly in the vlog, but maybe not, or maybe people thought I was hyping it more than was really the case, but I honestly wasn't lonely. I'll tell you, the only time in my life, honestly, that I've been lonely is when I was in a relationship that I knew needed to be over, but, whether it was to keep face or, we've entered a covenant and all those things that you sometimes tell yourself before it's over, but you know that it's over. That's the time for me that's lonely, because during that time I couldn't really talk to people. I'm still kind of processing. I'm still making sure that, I think I'm about done with your Uncle Taylor. I'm about finished with you. So I've got that in my mind, but I'm not yet sure. I don't really want to talk about it. And I'm not someone who goes to my girlfriends and talks a whole lot of stuff about my man, my relationship, my life in general, really, which isn't it strange that I'm here on YouTube? But just getting back to the lonely portion, I was really surprised. I know that, like during COVID, so many people were so pressed and bothered about being on lockdown or locked in, and it was just really upsetting and trying for them, and they'd get dressed up and made up and cute just to go to Target and stuff like that. And it was interesting to watch. It was stimulating even to watch, because I'm receiving the entertainment, but at no point did I ever feel like that. In fact, during the whole COVID time, it was like, I don't need to wear no makeup. You saw me in the video before. I might, if I'm doing a sit down, I might dress this portion of me up. In the bottom, I have on pajamas and socks. I keep some socks on because my feet are usually cold. Something about my feet and nose are just generally cold. But yeah, I wasn't bothered like that. But it doesn't mean I didn't acknowledge those who were. I certainly did. But it just didn't affect me that way. But no, honestly, it is more lonely for me to be in a relationship and perhaps walking on eggshells or being quiet, not really talking with each other, not being able to relate. Or me, the worst thing, honestly, for me is having that person who's supposed to be my person. And here I'm trying to lay things out and be open and be vulnerable and things like that. And it's just not connecting. When I can't connect with my person, that's the loneliest stage of life for me. It is not going on a trip by myself. Getting up when I want to, going to bed when I want to, skipping tours if I want to, or doing what I want. That's never been lonely for me. I honestly wasn't even lonely during COVID. I used that as an opportunity to learn new stuff. Like that, I've said it before, but that's honestly when I learned about YouTube. I genuinely thought YouTube was for how-tos. And I understand that a lot of people found success during COVID on YouTube that they hadn't had before, and they, by and large, I think, have been able to maintain it, and I think that's great. But that was not a lonely period for me. I did not identify with those who needed to put on makeup and get dressed up and things like that to go to Target and for entertainment and outlet. It didn't bother me that way. Now I'm just putting the finishing touches on my little closet space here, and basically I'm putting in short tees and things that can hang but not hang over my shoe. So I think I'll put in a bunch of bodysuits and all that. In the meantime, though, I was watching the Ralph Yarl interview. For anyone not familiar, Ralph Yarl is from Kansas City. He's about 16, I believe, 16-year-old boy who was going to pick up his little brothers from a friend's house, and he went to 115th Terrace, I believe, when he should have gone to 115th Street. After waiting for a little while and looking at, I believe it was 3 cameras he saw, he waited and someone came to the door. It was an 84-year-old man who shot him. And all he said was something like, "Don't ever come here again." He then shoots him once in the head and again in the arm. The little boy is trying to run. He went to several houses, and finally someone saw his distress and helped him. Anywho, it's a pretty big case because it took 4 days for them to even charge the shooter, which is crazy. In the interview, as I was listening to the lawyer, the family lawyer, he was just saying, truthfully, that justice, we're used to seeing people contort themselves, I believe is what he said, in an effort to make sure that they don't serve justice in cases like this. And, it's important in these cases that we not become complacent or, we not just get desensitized, I think is the word I've used before, with regard to matters like this and others that are tragic. I mean, we see it a lot, and I can understand why sometimes it's kind of easy, but to forget about it or just to dismiss it. People probably have clicked off now just as soon as I mention it. This ain't what I signed up for or something like that. But honestly, it's important that we keep matters like this at the forefront of our minds, because if we don't, then we're giving people who commit these crimes, and I do believe it is a crime, we're giving them the room and space, opportunity that they need to keep committing these kind of crimes. And it was hard to watch because here we're talking about a young man who in 8th grade took his ACTs. He had nothing but a bright future ahead of him. It struck me because, I see kids with potential every year, every class, all the time. In other classes, I see kids with potential to which they live up, and I see kids with wasted potential. So I see it both ways, and to just see this young man, he was doing all the things that he needed to do. He's, academically on top. He was talented musically. But anywho, he had so much potential, and here this old fogey with, his life behind him decides he's going to take another young man's life. He claimed that he thought he was being burglarized or whatever, but come on, dude, you saw him standing, waiting for someone to get the door. I mean, as the attorney said, we have seen people contort themselves to make wrong right. Well, he didn't say wrong right, but I will. We have seen people do that in an effort to make something that seemed wrong seem right. There tends to be a lot of sympathy for perpetrators who commit crimes against people who are more melanated. I mean, that's just the way it is. But that isn't the way it ought to be. That's not the way it should be. That's not what we should accept it as. And it's just a big deal. I feel like this has the potential. They go to the preliminary hearing on, I believe it's like August 31st, when Ralph should be in school. He's got to go deal with this foolery. But I hope it goes well, because while I love my city, I see the potential for things to get very heated, more protests and things like that if this doesn't go well. It's a shame to see, and I wouldn't be upset at the protest. I mean, things need to happen to bring light to it. There's just too many, too much, too often. You know, a lot of times we deal with it with cops and things like that, and we protest. This is not a cop involved shooting, but I do believe it too is racially motivated. And so, yeah, the proper things need to be done. It's just sad too, because he's a young man with so much potential. And as a classic, meaning myself, I am a classic underachiever. I think about what he's been doing in high school versus what I was doing in high school. I am not a dumb student, probably not the brightest at all, not near as smart as I thought I was. Honey, I thought I knew everything. So my sophomore year of high school, we're in our math class, and the teacher announces that if we take the advanced math course, of course he doesn't teach it, but he was saying if we take the advanced math course, that it eliminates 1 year of taking math. So, you know, I can't remember how high school credits work, but let's just say the average class is 3 credits. You take this advanced class, it's worth 6. Therefore, you can graduate with the same number of credits needed and not take all of the classes. Wait, hold up, what? Instead of taking 2 more years, I can just take 1, and all I gotta do is take this advanced class? Cool. So after class, and get this, so he hands out, so crazy. He literally hands out the information that kids had to take home to their parents to fill out if they were interested in doing this. He put one on my desk, and I don't blame him then. I don't blame him for that, because the reality is, like I said, classic underachiever, right? They would give us a syllabus. I had never even heard of it, but I'm like, wait, what? Y'all are giving us the cheat sheet? So I look on the syllabus and I'm like, oh, I can still get away with getting a C and not do any homework as long as I ace all of the tests. Cool. Yeah, sign me up for that right there. So, because a C was good enough for me. But anyway, after he hands out all of the tests to his selected students, none of whom looked anything like me, by the way. Class is over. I go up to his desk and I was like, you know, Mr. So-and-so, I'd like one of those forms. And he said, well, you know, I could give you a form, but if I do, then after that, you're going to have to take, you know, the test to make sure that you can do the work of the class. And after he said that, he commences to stacking papers and, you know, organizing himself. I was summarily dismissed. But I ain't got nowhere. So I'm just standing there, and I'm just as pleasant as I could be. And I said, so are you organizing, finding, shuffling? Are you looking for the test? Because I need the information so that I can take the test. And he gives it to me, you know, full on with just, I wouldn't even say attitude. It wasn't like he brandished the papers like a weapon or something. He just kind of gives it to me like, Hefner, you know. So I take it. Long story short, I end up taking the class. I do well in the class and all of that. And I guess people were genuinely surprised. Like I told you, classic underachiever. So I think it was advanced trig or something like that. But as a student, I never really understood what was difficult about school. So it's ironic that I end up being a teacher, because then, like I said, I didn't understand that some people have struggles with reading. Some people, the letters don't look quite the way that they are. They look a little bit jumbled. And now that I know that, I love opening up those lessons in a variety of ways and helping those kids to learn that. But back then, I was like, all the answers are in the book. There are. And math particularly came easily for me. Not a subject that I at all enjoy, but what I like about math is it's so formulaic, it's hard to miss. There's a formula for this. Oh, you want to know pi? That's just 3.14. Or you want to know, you know what I mean? Like there's a set way of doing it, and all I've got to do is plug in the numbers to this formula, and the answer comes out magically. But it's not necessarily so for everyone. So like I said, here I am. I'm a classic underachiever, and I'm looking at this Ralph Yarl story, and it's just like so much wonderful potential. And when he said that things are foggy for him now, he took the ACT, by the way, in 8th grade. Average person doesn't take it until maybe sophomore year. We take it in sophomore year because we want to know what do we know and what do we not know so that we can take it again junior year. Most people just anticipate taking it sophomore year, figure out what you know junior year, get ready to enter college if that's what you're interested in. And then you still have that extra senior year if you still need to get your scores up higher. So for him to take it in 8th grade is telling of his intelligence. And now the things that used to be easy for him are foggy for him. It's just such a shame because so much was taken, and for why? You have multiple cameras. You see him standing alone. You see him waiting patiently for someone to answer the door. Then you open the door. You don't even open the second door. You simply shoot him through the glass door like he's nothing. It's just a rabid raccoon or something. Like, that's just crazy to me. But yeah, it makes me think of, wow, there are so many incidents when his attorney said something about people contorting themselves to figure out a way to not serve justice. There are so many incidents that I can think of. Usually we think of the cops, but there are many other incidents as well. For some reason, I just thought about those cops who, it was one of the Carolinas, I believe it was South Carolina, where this man had just gone into a church, a black church, and killed, I think it was about 9 people. Cops pick him up, and you know what they did? Took him to Burger King and paid for it themselves, which means the city of North Carolina, to some degree, paid for that meal. It's just, when that lawyer said we're used to people contorting themselves or being sympathetic even with perpetrators more so than victims, he ain't lied. He didn't say the sympathizing part, I'm saying that, but he did say the contorting, and he's not lying about that. It's crazy. I just hope and pray this really ends up well, because it has the potential to not. Okay, I would dare to say this looks a bit better. So I've still got my hats and purses up there. I put a few of my jackets, denim jackets and all that over here. Tank shirts, I've got more to hang up, but I'm just tired of doing this for now. My shoes look better here. Here I'll probably be able to hang shorts and things. Let's try up here and see if that'll work. It's like, oh yeah. Well, that's kind of pushing it. Well, we'll figure that out. But what we're not going to do is hang the shoes back there again. That was looking kind of ratchet. Over here on this side, this is pretty much where I sit to do my little bit of makeup or do my hair and all that stuff. There's my soft light that I use for try-on hauls and stuff. Let me tell you, that light, it'll make you rethink your life, because they call it a soft box, but no, that light is mad hot. That's what it feels like. If hell is any worse than that light right there, I gotta get my life together.